Good afternoon, distinguished guests and colleagues. My name is Juwon Lee from KOEM. We will now begin the side event on Cooperative Approach Mechanism under Article 6 in the marine sector. This side event is hosted by the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Republic of Korea and co-organized by KOEM and GGGI. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. To open today's session, we would like to invite Mr. Ki Dong-yeol, the Executive Director of KOEM, to deliver the opening remarks.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Ki Dong, Executive Director of Marine Conservation at the Korea Marine Environment Management Corporation. It is a great privilege to welcome you to this seminar on international mitigation projects in the marine sector. For joining us today, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Mr. Seo Jung-ho, Director General of the Marine Policy Office at the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, Mr. Kim Sang-hyuk, Director General of the Global Green Growth Institute, GGGI, and Dr. Ayman Ripai from the Ministry of Environment of Egypt. I also extend my warmest welcome to all participants who have taken time from their busy schedule to attend this important event. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement, a milestone in the global effort to combat climate change. As the world reflects on the progress that has been achieved and defines the path forward for the next decade, it is especially meaningful that we have gathered here today to discuss the accomplishments and further priorities of international mitigation efforts in the marine domain. KOEM serves as Korea's implementing agency for mitigation projects in the maritime, fisheries, port, and shipping sectors. Under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, we have developed and carried out collaborative projects with partner countries, including Egypt, Cambodia, and Indonesia. We also serve as Korea's national inventory compiler for the marine and the fisheries sectors, producing greenhouse gas statistics for the ocean sector and improving the quality of national data to support the formulation of the government's mitigation policies. As the ocean's role in addressing the climate crisis grows more critical with each passing year, I hope today's seminar provides a valuable platform to explore new opportunities for cooperation and strengthen existing partnership for a sustainable and diligent marine environment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yeol, for your kind opening remarks. Next, we will hear remarks from Mr. Jung Ho Seo, Deputy Minister of Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Korea.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to join you at this side event held on the occasion of the 30th UN Climate Change Conference. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations on the successful organization of this meaningful event. This event provides a valuable opportunity to discuss ways to enhance international cooperation for climate mitigation, including cooperative approaches under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Around the world, many countries are putting forward more ambitious nationally determined contribution targets to slow down the ticking clock of climate change, a shared challenge facing humanity. In line with this global approach, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of the Republic of Korea is continuously strengthening Korea's mitigation capacity across various marine sectors, including blue carbon, marine energy, shipping, and fisheries. In 2023, Korea adopted the blue carbon promotion strategy to accelerate the conservation and restoration of blue carbon ecosystems, such as seagrasses, salt marshes, and tidal flats. Building on this, Korea is actively identifying new partner countries and implementing capacity building programs in developing countries with blue carbon as one of the key focus areas of its international mitigation initiatives. In August last year, Korea signed an implementation agreement with the Global Green Growth Institute, which has a network of 52 member states, to promote collaborative mitigation projects in the marine sector. Under the framework of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, we have also conducted feasibility studies for mitigation projects in Vietnam, Egypt, and Indonesia. In particular, we are advancing on blue carbon ecosystem restoration project in Egypt, which aims to restore mangrove ecosystems along the Red Sea coast. The project is currently at the feasibility study stage with the support of Korean government. We are continuing close dialogue with Egypt to ensure its successful implementation. Distinguished guests, global cooperation has become more urgent than ever to address the climate crisis. Developed countries are working more closely with developing nations and international organizations to drive collective action in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries will also continue to collaborate with diverse partners to produce tangible outcomes in greenhouse gas reduction through practical and cooperative actions. I sincerely hope today's event will serve as an invaluable platform to explore concrete pathways for expanding Korea's contributions to international mitigation endeavors. Finally, I wish to express my deepest appreciation to all of you for your presence and unwavering commitment to global climate action. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Seo, for your kind and encouraging remarks. Next, we will hear remarks from Dr. Sang-Yup Kim, Executive Director of GGGI.
Thank you. A very good afternoon, all of you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, and dear colleagues and friends. Thank you all for joining us for today's very important session on cooperative approach mechanisms under Article 6 in the marine sector. And I extend my sincere appreciation to the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries and the Korea Marine Environment Management Corporation, known as KOEM. And I deeply thank Deputy Minister So, and Executive Director Yo. Well, as you know, the ocean is the source of our life, right? It bears the very being of ourselves. But there's more in this time of climate crisis. Ocean is about clean energy, clean transport, and it is about green shipping corridor and the blue carbon ecosystem that has a great potential to be realized. And there are three key points for successful Article 6 cooperation in blue carbon. First, the clear intent of the potential investor country and the host country to cooperate is really essential. The better the policy clarity and institutional readiness in both countries, investing countries and host countries, the faster, the better the results. And secondly, GGGI is committed to supporting the design and implementation of initiatives that are aligned with national NDCs and uphold integrity by employing a meticulous approach consistent with market standards. For that, we have a wonderful panelist who is the director of Carbon Finance Department of GGGI. She will do the presentation for this session. And third, Article 6 activities, when properly designed through shared and reciprocal effort, can result in investment, technology transfer, and more. Executed well, coastal infrastructure is restored, communities gain resilience, and lessons can be shared to the wider international community to scale up the results. Yes, the blue carbon ecosystem is the natural infrastructure for our collective action for climate change, if well guided with innovation and cooperation. And today, just a minute ago, GGGI has renewed its MOU with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Korea. This renewal marks our firm decision to continue this cooperation anchored in trust earned by delivery, not just talking. So GGGI will move design into implementation, a real action, then further to measurable results that will be recognized by the world. And I appreciate the leadership again, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries for this important initiative. And I hope today's discussion take us from promises to real actions, from readiness to results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kim, for your inspiring remarks. Now we will take a group photo. May I ask all speakers and panelists to come forward to the stage? 기념사진 촬영 있겠습니다. we will begin the presentation session. We have three presentations prepared for today. First, I would like to invite Ms. Fenella Awan, Managing Director and Head of Carbon Pricing at GGGI, to present State of Art in Article 6 and Blue Carbon.
Thank you very much. Great, thank you. Welcome, thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for welcoming us, and Executive Director COEM as well for helping to co-organize this session. Blue carbon is really very unique. It's also highly desirable. Not only is it a mitigation measure, but it's also very strongly an adaptation measure. So the removals that are created through blue carbon, plus the climate resilience that it can help generate, make it a real catalyst for helping us in the climate goals. So I'm just going to do a little bit of scene setting before our panel discussion on what GGGI is actually doing under the collaboration agreements with the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries in Korea. So if I may, I think I'm hopefully going to have some help from the side here. It's on here. Right. Got it. It's the other way up, and it's that one. Yeah. Okay. Got it. There we go. Right. Okay, so a tiny bit for anyone in the audience who isn't familiar with the Global Green Growth Institute. We are an intergovernmental organization set up by treaty, so similar to the UN organizations or the MDBs, and we work on a membership basis, supporting countries. We're the only intergovernmental organization focused solely on green growth.
And systems already failed.
We have about 700 people located all over the world, and I'll give a little bit more detail. So our mission is to help countries to simultaneously achieve poverty reduction, social inclusion, environmental sustainability, and economic growth. And we do this through what we call green growth. And we have our values where we will look at integrity, transformational, inclusiveness, boldness, and excellence. So this is the geographical spread of where our member countries are. So you can see there is no particular regional focus. We are truly global.
Very different.
I can tell you it makes having group phone calls very difficult with time zones. Someone's always having to wake up in the middle of the night. But you can see from this the amount of countries that have large oceans as part of their territories and potential for blue carbon is very sizable. So what we're doing with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, as we can see here on the left, this is the government of Korea's NDC, it's the reduction targets, and at the bottom there in the red box is the idea that Korea has agreed to use international carbon markets to the value of 37 million tons to help meet its NDC. So as part of this and part of the Korean government's Framework Act on carbon neutrality and green growth for coping with climate crisis, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries first signed an MOU with GGGI in 2022 at COP27. And then in 2024, we signed a funding agreement, and we have now, very wonderfully, just signed a renewal of the MOU for a further 3 years. So this comes under the Korean government guidelines for preliminary approval of international mitigation projects and acquisitions of ITMOs, as we call them. So where we feel that the three areas that are needed for a transaction, so this would be the buyer country, which would be Korea through the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, the GGGI member countries, recipient countries, who would be the host or sellers eventually if something is found, and GGGI fit together. So the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries has said that they will look at supporting pre-feasibility and feasibility studies within host countries with a view of identifying projects that could be eligible for cooperative approaches under Article 6. This will help Korea meet its NDC. On the host country side, we work with the national focal points for Article 6 cooperation, and we're looking with the line ministries who are responsible for the areas of mangroves or other areas of blue carbon. So, for example, in Indonesia, this is the Ministry of Forestry now. And then in the host countries, this contributes to NDCs in the sense that it allows benefit sharing, it allows scaling up of action, and it can allow further trade to occur, as well as further inclusion of new areas like blue carbon in the NDC space. And in between, GGGI acts as the neutral technical facilitator. We don't advise on trades, we advise on rules and what is established already under Article 6. So we help with the development and coordination. We do that through a number of routes. So we're analysing Article 6 and blue carbon readiness in countries. So in order to do an Article 6 trade, a host country will need to have the institutional arrangements in place. We help with the capacity building around that, the generation of knowledge products, and we work with COEM on the carbon indexing database and the MRV side. And we're very delighted to have such an expert technical organization based in Korea. Then we will look at the government-to-government dialogues, and we support the bringing together of potential buyer and seller countries and how they may best work together and what needs to be identified to create a trade. And then strategic planning around NDC. The reason we mention NDC quite often is because very often blue carbon is a space where there is insufficient monitoring. So we've been working in Indonesia for quite a few years now to help monitor the area of mangroves so that they can be included in the Indonesian NDC. And until they're included in the NDC, it's very difficult to complete a cooperative approach in that area. And then on the pipeline side, we have been working over the last year and a half on the criteria, what is it that is required, looking at an RFP we sent out for scoping, and then evaluation to see which are the most suitable projects from both host country and buyer country. I think another thing we must recognize is it's not all ready for a trade tomorrow in Article 6 for blue carbon. There are still some further guidelines that need to come out. So under Article 6, the area of permanence, and that needs to be agreed between the buyer and seller country, and further definitions coming out through methodologies. The great news is that both the Republic of Korea, the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, and the seller countries we are talking to are very determined to ensure high integrity over any transaction that takes place, full alignment with Article 6, which may mean some further definitions need to come out from UNFCCC and others to ensure that we can do that for any transaction. And there we see included in NDC targets. And then these are just an example of some of the things that need to be discussed and agreed, which is the land and usage rights, the permanence and reversal risk, no double counting, so corresponding adjustments must be applied, and how we use existing methodologies and develop upon them. And I think this is what will allow this initiative and the work between the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, COEM and GGGI to be global leaders in this space, to feed back lessons learned, to generate what is the situation on the ground and what is practical when it comes to MRV. So we do feel that there is a great opportunity going forward. I think this is just a little bit more information about GGGI and some of the products we have within our carbon team. So we now have over 50 people within GGGI focused solely on Article 6 and transactions under Article 6. We launched an umbrella facility last year, which now holds over 150 million for the readiness activities, so getting countries to trade, and buying funds that will purchase ITMOs. And this is currently where we are active on carbon specifically. So you can see it's over 20 countries and growing all the time. Quite a few of them with quite a strong blue carbon opportunity. So as we see there, Indonesia, Senegal, others. So next steps, we having now renewed delightfully the MOU, the collaboration will continue with a focus on expanding dialogues with a number of countries and helping with the capacity building and governance frameworks. It is a very unique project within the GGGI portfolio and within the carbon portfolio of GGGI. It's the only one that looks at blue carbon, actually. And then we hope that we'll be able to support further development of methodologies, or as methodologies become apparent, see how they can fit on the ground, and then ensure that accurate MRV systems are implementable. So very much around the readiness to results. And with that, I shall say thank you very much, and we look forward to the mangroves. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Awan. Next, we will hear from Ms. Ju Young Ham, from manager of KOEM.
Those are not the for our territory. Are we going to benefit part of the
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ju Young Ham, manager of Korean Marine Environment Management Corporations. It is truly an honor to be here today and share the Korea experience in implementing international mitigation project under Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. Through these presentations, I will briefly introduce Korea's national framework, the implementation process, and also the role of KOEM in developing ocean-based ITMO project. I hope this presentation can provide useful insights for those of you who are exploring similar cooperation opportunity. Let me start with a brief overview of Korea's national Korea's NDC. Actually, in its 2030 NDC, Korea has pledged to reduce 37.5 million tons of greenhouse gases through the use of international cooperation mechanism under Article 6. This amount is not a small portion. It accounts for about 11% of Korea's total reduction targets. While Korea promotes close collaboration with the private sector, this 37.5 million tons must ultimately be achieved and accounted for by the government under its national target. Therefore, the Korean government has established a systematic and transparent framework for identifying, approving, and transferring ITMO projects so that emission reductions can be recognized under both countries' NDC. Now, let me explain how these ITMO projects are actually developed and implemented in Korea. The government has set up a clear process with a legal and institutional foundation for Article 6 cooperation. It starts from the private sector. Company with promising idea or technology can submit their project concept for international mitigation activities. Once a project proposal is submitted, the government provided financial support for a feasibility study to evaluate the project potential for emission reduction, additionality, and sustainability. If the project passes this feasibility stage, it moves on to the implementation phase where the government and the private sector work together. Throughout this process, the private sector brings technical expertise and field experience, while the government ensures policy alignment and support international cooperations. All key decisions, including project approval, corresponding adjustment, and authorization for ITMO transfer, are made through a joint committee established between Korea and the partner country. I will explain later. This joint structure ensures transparency, mutual oversight, and trust between both governments. To manage international cooperation efficiently, Korea operates the two official tracks for Article 6.2 project. The first one is the implementation. First one is bilateral agreement led by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The second one is the MOU track led by sectoral ministries such as the Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Marine, Ocean and Fisheries. When when the bilateral agreement is signed under the first track, a joint committee is formally established between the two countries. These committees include all relevant ministries. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Environment, actually it changed the climate and environment, in the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Industries, and all included. The committee then oversees the entire cycle of Article 6.2 cooperation, including project approval and ITMO transfer authorizations. However, this process, while robust, but can sometimes be time-consuming because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not a project implementing ministry. Negotiating and signing a bilateral agreement often takes a long time. Even after agreement is concluded, each line ministry will still need to negotiate separate with its counterpart in the partner country, which can cause some inefficiency. To address these challenges, Korea introduced a second track, the MOU-based process. Under this approach, each line ministry directly signed an MOU with its counterpart ministry and the partner country, usually the one responsible for implementing Article 6 or managing the relevant sector. After signing the MOU, both sides established a working group which serves as a technical and operational platform for discussing project approval, monitoring, reporting, and ITMO transfer procedures. This process allows for faster, more flexible cooperations. especially for pilot project or sector-specific initiative. As of its early 2025, Korea has signed implementation agreement with 9 countries and MOU with 8 countries. Some partner countries such as Indonesia and Vietnam have chosen to pursue both approaches in parallel, depending on the sector and project type. Through this dual framework, Korea aims to promote both government-level collaborations and practical on-the-ground implementations. Now, let me turn to the role of COEM, which is the
As it stands,
the designated
that
agency
really
under the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries. In Korea, ITMO projects are divided by sector and ministry as follows. The ministry, for example, Ministry of Ocean and Fishery, under the Ministry of Ocean and Fishery, we have, but under the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, there is the Korea Energy Agency. So COEM is the public organization under the Ministry of Ocean and Fishery, acts as a designated implementation agency for these ocean-based ITMO projects. Our main responsibilities include supporting private companies by funding feasibility study, and second, connecting pilot project to full-scale implementations, and third, facilitating cooperations with developing countries in marine and coastal sectors.
Because Guinea has got...
So during 2023 and 2024, COEM mainly focused on supporting feasibility studies for private sector proposals. From now on, we plan to move into actual implementation, transferring successful pilot idea into real projects that generate verified ITMOs. So let me introduce the process which we choose the private sector. First, we do the online submissions, and we operate 2 types of call for project proposals. Open call, where companies freely submit their own project ideas, and COEM support feasibility studies. Target calls, where COEM identify promising project opportunity in advance and seeks private partners to join. This dual approach allows us to combine bottom-up innovation from the private sector with the top-down strategy guidance from the government. So after this, doing this, we choose like 3 projects. The 2 projects are the Blue Carbon project, which is the feasibility study for mangrove project. And one of them, actually, next presentation is regarding the Egypt project. And Cambodia is also the same as Egypt, which is the mangrove project. And the other is a Vietnam project, which is the rooftop solar panel. It is a feasibility study for rooftop solar deployment in fishing port in Vietnam related to the World Bank project. But after we already finished the feasibility study, this one, but we are now talking with the World Bank to move forward for main project. So to conclude, Korea's experience under Article 6.2 shows that a coordinating national framework with clear roles for the governments, the private sector and implementing agency can make international mitigation both effective and credible. As a dedication agency for the marine sector, COEM will continue to explore opportunity to cooperate with the host countries to develop high-quality ITMO projects and to contribute to global climate goals through sustainable ocean action. Thank you very much for your attention.
What's happening in
Thank you, Ms. Ham. We appreciate your detailed overview of Korea's experience in blue carbon ITMOs. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Kyunghwa Jeon, Director of Bflat Services, to present the introduction of nature-based services. The project.
Hello, I'm Kei Kyunghwa Jeon, founder and director of Bflat Services. Thank you for having me today, and it's a great honor to be here and to present our project to everyone here. Even though hot weather here, I think there are a lot of people still present. Thank you for that. Let me start with that. Actually, I'm going to present the overview and the importance of the nature-based solution first, and then introduce our own project, mangrove project in restoration project in Egypt, and a little bit about
Levels
the
of
Bflat. That's the
go into this.
process of the presentation. So firstly, the importance and the role of the nature-based solution. So MBS project is really popular these days. Actually, as you guys know, carbon dioxide remover, CDR, is kind of a big deal, and it's totally differentiated from the reduction or mitigation project. I'm not talking about the mitigation project is not great, removal is better or like that. So the MBS project has importance, and it's have another co-benefits from the project. So the importance of the project is getting more popular. So first, first graph shows the investment size of the nature-based solution. So as you can see, the green color shows the MBS project, including Red Plus project and the ARR mangrove project. So last 3-4 years, the investment has been increased significantly. So this is one of the evidence the importance of MBS project is getting more important. The other important point for the MBS project is they can reduce the gap between using the technology-based removal project like CCUS, DEX. Actually, those projects are really good to reduce the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, definitely. But as you know, the cost is not affordable at this moment. So MBS project would be the alternative way to reduce the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So that's why global corporations like Microsoft, Google, Apple, they invest a lot of money to the MBS project these days. And for the MBS project, there's two types actually. So first line shows the avoided natural loss, which is like Red Plus project, so avoidance project. But I'm going to talk about the more like the third one, nature-based sequestration, so which means planting tree to reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So this kind of project is relatively really difficult to implement because the survival rate of the trees and the growth rate is relatively difficult to keep for the certain amount. And that's why this kind of MBS removal project is really popular for the buyers, especially like global corporates. And in this page, actually, it shows like 3 types of MBS project. The first one is, as I mentioned before, avoidance Red Plus project. The second is ARR or like restoration mangrove project. The third one would be IFM, the improved forest management project, which is using the better way to manage the forest. So IFM project can generate both reduction and removal credits. But this table shows the trend of the market price the last 2 years. So as you can see, the other Red Plus IFM project has some reduce for the price level. but only ARR project and agroforestry blue carbon has a significant increasing for the price level, which means it's because of the high demand and the less supply, a lot of people willing to invest and have this kind of project. So I'm going to introduce our Egypt mangrove project, currently developing with the COEM and the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. Thanks again for the support, actually. So this project is located in the next to the Red Sea. So here is the Wadi El Kemal National Park. So we are using the national park to restore the mangrove forest there. So we are working with the Egyptian government closely, especially the NCS, the nature conservation sector under the Egyptian Ministry of Environment. So the NCS has the right to approve this kind of mangrove project to the other countries. So we are currently working with them, and I had several meetings with them, definitely. And our target for this project is Article 6.2 because we realize that there is no mangrove methodology under the Article 6 yet. Yeah, of course, we have a CDM methodology, but during our pre-feasibility study last year, realized that the CDM mangrove methodology is a really old version. So it's more than 12 years old, so which means it has a huge risk regarding the overcredit issues. So we hope to reduce that kind of risk. So we decided to use the FERA methodology, FEM 33, which is recently announced and published in the 2023. And people think this is one of the very conservative methodology for the project. This is a kind of a short video, but I don't think oh, sorry. Some beauty of mangroves here. Maybe you guys have never seen the mangrove, some of you, so I hope to just show that. So this is the site in the Red Sea, Wadi El Kemal in Egypt. So it's a really beautiful places. So Red Sea has a beautiful color like this. So just next to the Red Sea, there is some existing forest, mangrove forest already. So we hope to restore next to the existing mangrove forest actually. This is newly planted small mangroves actually. Yeah, it's very small like this. And this is another photos. Let me introduce the project progress, what we've done so far. So project itself, we started developed since November 2022 during the COP27 in the Sharm el Sheikh. At that time, we luckily had a meeting with the NGO there, and we visited some existing mangrove forest in the Sharm el Sheikh and realized that it's possible to do this kind of project in Egypt. So from the 23, we started some our own desk review, and 2024, our project had been selected one of the pre-feasibility study project by COEM and the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, luckily. So we've done the pre-feasibility study in the 2023 and 24, and this year, we started the main feasibility study with the COEM again. And this feasibility study will be done the next April, and we hope continue our project with the cooperation with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries and COEM as well. There are a few photos regarding the site visit. So it's Sharm el Sheikh photos in 2022, and we visited the community to hear their opinion regarding the project. And we had some government meetings and visit to nursery site as well. Yeah, this is almost everything regarding the project. And let me introduce the flat services briefly. So our vision is connecting good projects with good investors. So we are project developer and investor based in Seoul, South Korea, expertising in the MBS removal project mainly. And we are, I believe personally, we are the only Korean developer to attract investment in the voluntary carbon project for last 4 consecutive years. So we've developed some mangrove project in Indonesia, Madagascar, Bangladesh, Egypt, and also have an agroforestry project in India. Yeah, and there is our partners, and some photos regarding other projects. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. John. You have shared valuable perspectives on the importance of nature-based projects. Now we will begin the second section, which will be the panel discussion. This session will focus on the topic of sharing experiences of cooperation of developing countries under Article 6 and future collaboration opportunities. We are joined by 4 panelists, including Ms. Hyo Jung-an from Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, and Ms. Kyung-hwa Chun, Director of Flat Services, and Ms. Ju Young-ham, Manager of KOEM. And the discussion will be moderated by Ms. Vanilla Awan, Managing Director and Head of Carbon Pricing at GGGI. Unfortunately, Dr. Ayman is unable to attend due to unexpected meeting, so session will proceed with 4 panelists.
This is a first. A lady-only panel at the Korea Pavilion. So I think we should give that a round of applause. I think fantastic. Obviously, we're very sad that Dr. An couldn't make it from Egypt, but I think it is certainly something to be celebrated. So we've heard the presentations, and thank you very much. But I think I want to kind of dig into the questions, and I'd be very welcome if anyone feels a burning question at any point. Feel free to stick your hand up. We have a little bit of extra time as we have one less panelist. But maybe if I can start with a kind of opening question to all of you, which is, in blue carbon under Article 6, what's the next step that could be realistically considered, and a brief reason for your view? Perhaps if I can pass first.
Thank you for the important question. The Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries of the Republic of Korea believes that moving forward with actual project implementation and expansion is the most realistic next step for advancing Article 6 project. Currently, the blue carbon sector faces challenges because there is no standard international MRV methodologies and no relevant 6.4 methodology has been officially adopted. Therefore, it is important to work closely with host countries to develop practical MRV framework to local condition and build a foundation for joining international carbon markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think standardized MRV on blue carbon, yeah, it's a challenge. As B Flat was saying, you know, the methodologies, some are really old, and Article 6, they're still debating how permanence will be addressed. So how do we bring these things together? And I think the further investigation of how MRV can practically work in countries according to their national circumstances is going to be vital. Without that, they can't even include the sector in their NDC, at which point trades are very difficult. If I can pass the same question onwards.
Okay. As Ms. Ann has already mentioned that there is no international UNFCCC international methodology for blue carbon under 6.4 mechanism. Some methodology for blue carbon, such as like mangrove, are already recognized by standards like Vera, but we think that it is important to have registered under the 6.4 mechanism. We think that it is very important, necessarily not only to carry out the project, but also we need to collect scientific evidence through field-based activity. For example, in case of Egypt, COEM support feasibility study by planting some mangrove in some area, so we can get some scientific data. And we can then monitor their growth and carbon uptake. So we can use that to move forward for the main project. We think that. So I think we need make 6.4 methodology for blue carbon, and we need to get some data, scientific data for the main project.
Thank you. So vital. As we talk about the readiness to results, I think the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries and the partners that they work with, COEM, BFLAT, GGGI, we can really bring back to the standards and to the negotiations. This works. This is really hard. This doesn't work. So it's what's practical. Because really we want to grow mangroves. We don't want to be sat there with so many rules and regulations that it's impossible or too costly to implement. But we need to have rigor to ensure that we have high integrity. In fact, I did hear this morning in the Ambition Dialogue, where there were many countries speaking, the chair of the supervisory body of 6.4 actually said, no, we should be open to more standards and maybe they can teach us how to be quicker. So we noticed Gold Standard has now said that they're going to align everything to Article 6. I think difficult for Vera at the moment because the rules aren't clear, but maybe going forward, maybe they can. And that can then ease a 6.4 methodology or something that can be used across the board, because it's so important. If I can pass to you for B-Flat's comments.
Thank you, Pamela. Actually, from my experience and as a private sector, I think it's time to move forward, because we studied so much things last 2 years. And actually, I found that, we have some obstacles like methodology absence and other, like we need to have a very standardized MRV like that. But still, we need a clear regulation to implement a project in the right time. That's what I feel from my experience. So actually, when I meet the host countries, they are willing to have this kind of project and carbon finance from Korean government. But sometimes it's political process is too slow, like sign a MOU and maybe waiting for the methodology, whatever. So it takes a lot of time. So I think, so if the both country and both government has a willingness to move forward, I think we can go for that. So that's my feeling. Yeah.
I think a loud voice from private sector. You're certainly not the only private sector entity who's going, can we just get on with it? I mean, I can hear the frustration for the whole of private sector is palpable. perhaps, I don't know, I'm just thinking here, but perhaps it's actually that you've done so much work, you've got the science, but actually has that been shared? Have we taken that out to other countries and other parties to actually say, okay, this is what we found on the ground. If we follow this methodology with the following adjustments or something, would you all believe that that is environmentally integral? Because the environmental integrity is, it's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? You know, so can we help as the government of Korea, GGGI, to help convene and have roundtables and see if we can build that trust? And if they say no, great. Okay, what do we need to do to make it better? Perhaps. I don't know, just a suggestion. Right. Okay, let me go into a couple of individual questions now. So if I may ask the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, can you outline one area where practical contribution may be possible in the blue carbon or shipping area with an example like information exchange, like I just said, or exploring pilots, engagement with regulatory discussions, anything like that?
Our ministry also see a strong potential to make contribution and project implementation. We are preparing to implement our blue carbon project for mangrove restoration along the Egypt Red Sea coast, which we hope will serve as a standard model for future Article 6 project. Building on this experience, we aim to expand our cooperation with countries such as Indonesia or Philippines to develop new blue carbon projects under Article 6.
Thank you. So the practicality of expanding, dealing with new countries, I think, you know, once you've done it in one country, once you've started, it really helps to build the confidence when you go to the next country and say, this is what we did here, are you interested? It really does. We found that so often related to Article 6.
As companies around the world, we particularly in the
Whoops. Was that to us or not? Not quite sure. No. Next doors. Oh, okay. All right.
It can create a reason to start integrating these things if we think about it from a private market perspective.
Could you
very much
outline
recognizing
the
that a lot of the
lessons
funding
learned from supporting a Korean developer working and originating a blue carbon marine sector project in a host country?
Yeah, when we support private sector to improve the blue carbons or marine sector projects in a host country, there are several lessons learned. First, it is important to fully understand and consider the ecosystem and the framework of the host countries. Second, since I already mentioned that since MRV methodology are not yet, it is necessary to collect the scientific data and use it in the main project.
Well, we've already heard about the data gaps and the understanding for adaptation.
Overall, actually, the most important factor for the developer to successfully carry out the project is government supporting. If the Korean government and the host country government establish clear procedures and framework, developers can implement their project more easily. In order to make it more easier, the COEM is the designated organization for international mitigation organization. So we support the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries by facilitating MOU with host countries and identifying project opportunity and providing idea and assisting in consultation with the host countries. And also, we think that in Korea, we changed the ministry, like Ministry of Environment. Actually, there was Ministry of Environment, but it changed like Ministry of Climate Change and Energy, Environment. So we think that they need to make some like a focal point so they can handle the all international mitigation in Korea. So actually, when we support the private sector, and already like the host country said that who is the focal point? Where is the main focal point? Actually, we think that Ministry of Foreign Affairs do the main thing to make a bilateral agreement. But also, Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries do the MOU. So we have two tracks. But sometimes it's very nice, but sometimes very difficult to connect the host country. So we think that in my opinion, we need to like focal point to handle the all 6.2 mechanism in Korea. Thank you.
Project, it's definitely much more powerful.
I will admit that some of our member countries have approached me and said, how does it work in Korea?
An investment.
It's a little complicated. For good reason, it's working around the laws and the rules that are there. But yes, I think the most important, and what I found, I think, from the meeting that we had this morning is the line ministries. Get the line ministries, the ministries that are experts speaking together. And what we're finding in host countries is, although the Ministry of Environment may be the designated national authority, it's actually the line ministries who decide what should be given an authorization, and then it is the Ministry of Environment who simply administers the authorization. So it's, you know, whether it works the same way or not in Korea or other countries, you know, we don't know. But yes, admittedly complicated. So if I can turn to, for the private sector viewpoint with B-flat, can you share one opportunity or one consideration from the implementation that you've done? And it's, I love the photos, and I'm very sorry we couldn't see the video, because no, I don't always know what mangrove. I thought mangroves were very smelly. Someone told me they were very smelly ones. And then someone came back having seen one and they said they're not. Yeah, okay, well, you learn. So can you briefly describe how your design aligns with integrity elements like additionality and avoided double counting? And also, what works, what doesn't? I mean, any experiences from what you found? And how do you keep the mangroves alive once they're only this big?
Yeah, thank you for that. So from my experience, one opportunity from implementing this kind of a mangrove project is co-benefit it can deliver. And the other hand, one consideration would be the community engagement. Yeah, as you know, the mangrove project naturally has a very diverse, wide range of co-benefits, like from ecosystem restoration and the biodiversity enhancement and the local community supports everything. So we think this kind of co-benefits, strengthening of this kind of co-benefits helps to some integrity issues. We currently have some challenges in the carbon market, because it's not just to remove the carbon dioxide. It helps the people and it saves lives, in especially like some tsunami areas in Indonesia, Bangladesh. It literally saved the lives. So I hope to focus on those kind of very diverse co-benefits from the mangrove project. And also, there is many opportunity to conduct this kind of project, I believe. In terms of the the community support and community engagement, actually we cannot implement this kind of a mangrove restoration project without community's support, because if they just want to cut the mangroves, maybe they just need some biomass for the like cooking and whatever, boiling something, then I mean, yeah, it's literally difficult to maintain this kind of a project. So the education for the community and engagement of the community side is really important. That's why we designed the project to involve community, local community, as much as we can throughout all the process, from the local community stakeholder consultation and monitoring, verification, everything actually. And they have a really good knowledge to save mangroves as well. So from their experience, like when I visited Egypt, Red Sea, one community guy told me before, like 20 or 30 years before, there were like full of the mangrove forest there, and they know how to save the mangroves in a good way. So we communicate with the community a lot to increase the growth rate and the survival rate as much as we can. And in terms of integrity issue, I hope to mention that for the additionality, definitely there is some eligibility criteria for the project. We only selected only degraded area, coastal area, for the mangrove restoration. And that's the place will not occur this kind of project without project intervention or financing, which means it's a super additional project. Yeah. And for the avoiding double counting issue, definitely the MRV system is very important. We are currently working for the developing powerful MRV system, but we had some other good experience from the voluntary project, and I trust we can adapt some good example from the voluntary project too. And SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, are one of the very important part for the mangrove project, because as I mentioned before, co-benefits are very important. As we are going to use the VERA methodology for the project, we also consider to work for the CCB label certificate, which is Climate, Community, and Biodiversity Certificate. And I think this kind of certificate helps to prove our project has very diverse co-benefits for the climate, community, and biodiversity. So yeah, this is all.
Thank you for that. It's fascinating. We're working on the other end as GGGI. So we're sitting with the government of, not Egypt, I will hasten to add, they're not a member, but Indonesia, Senegal, Philippines, and we're saying, okay, you want to do Article 6 trades, so you need to have eligibility criteria to decide what you will authorize and what you won't. And that might be, okay, we're going to use that sector for our own NDC, we're not selling that, but it could be, right, it must have the following stakeholder consultation. It must have the following co-benefits. It must ensure that it is closely linked and communicating with the local community, and that the local community is on board with the project. And that's really important. If I look at a country like Zambia, if you are worried, or the government of Korea is worried about buying an ITMO that is not high integrity, the government of Zambia is worried about selling something that a local indigenous group or community would say, you've taken that, it's not been done properly, why weren't we consulted? So both have pressure in different ways. So I think sometimes it's not just about the proving you've got co-benefits because then it's a good project. No, it really is. We really do need to be aligned. And so I think that really talking with and doing this as a partnership, which I know that Korea is so good at. It's always been, in my view, Korea has been we're in it together with the countries that they work with, whether it's helping on forestry, mangroves, any area. It's very much a collegiate doing it together. And I think that's fantastic. I think we just need to shout a little bit more about all the incredible work that you've done. I should be getting Q in my team to write some things up who you know well. Yes. Okay. I'm going to turn. I can see many fans waving, and keep them going because it really is hot here. Are there any questions before we all melt? Yes. Please find a microphone or shout incredibly loudly. I think probably find a microphone. No? Different microphone. If you could just stand up and introduce yourself, your name and your company.
Hi. Okay, I'm Kang Yushik from Commissions of Carbon Neutrality in Korea. Yeah. So I thank you very much for your presentation and panel discussions. It is one of the best seminar that I understand how the blue carbon works. My question is, in Korea, I understand our 2030 NDC target. The blue carbon, the percentage of blue carbon, the remover is about 1 million ton, right? 1 million ton. NDC, 2030 NDC, our target to...
Well, the target to purchase NDC is 37 million.
Target to sequestrate the carbon annually. In our NDC is 1 million ton.
Domestically?
No, yes, the goal is in 2030 NDC. Yeah. And but it's very big number. But comparing to the forest, they sequester around 4 million tons, 400 million tons, 400 million tons. So it's quite big number. So I think the Minister of the Oceans main interest is in domestic removal or looking outwardly to working with these partner countries and to using this carbon market and carbon credit. So I wonder what is your priority of the
okay.
carbon?
I think perhaps the nature of the panel discussion and the nature of the session is outward looking around Article 6, but I don't know if anyone on the panel wishes to comment on domestic.
Yeah, actually, in Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, actually not, I mean not Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, but as I know that is the blue carbon part and it's the domestic NDC, but we cannot divide which one is important or not important. But Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries make the blue carbon strategy. In that, there is 6.2 mechanism. They have both domestic and international NDC they include. And I'm not sure which blue carbon, I'm not sure which that all the target in blue carbon, but I think that you mentioned the all percent is include like cigarettes and gapball and include everything. So, but she is not she is included climate team. So it's not that how can I
it's not all answers, so sorry for that. Yeah, it's only for the international mitigation part.
So I don't think we're not prioritizing one or the other. We just happen to have a session that's focused on one of them. That's all.
Both are important, I think.
Yeah. But obviously that's a shout out to say next year we need to have one for domestic actions as well to say what's happening. Okay, I can take a last quick question if there are any in the audience. Okay, if there isn't, then I'm going to be able to jump in with one. Okay, I want to know, once you plant a mangrove, why is it likely to die? What do you need to do to keep it alive?
It's a good question. Actually, so from our experience, we learned that the first 4 to 6 months, the death rate is quite high. So we decided to take some time for the nursery, not directly plant to the mud. That's quite important tip. So if the mangrove matured enoughly for the surviving, then like maybe 4 to 6 months old, they can survive in the sea as well. Yeah.
And I asked that question because I will admit, it's probably obvious from my wrinkles, I never learned the proper Korean skincare system. I don't have beautiful Korean skin. But I've been in the carbon markets a very, very long time. And the huge problem with carbon trades historically was people will say, we're going to have mangroves planted here. We are going to do this. Great, let's sign an agreement for the next 10 years. But the developers never had the funding to properly actually implement the project. So it meant there were a whole load of empty projects that never delivered the, well, CERs in those days, but it will be ITMOs, even if the government's ready to authorize, even if we say we have everything. So what we need to be thinking about, and the lesson we can share is, if you want to make sure your mangroves grow, make sure in that project design document, the mitigation activity design document, that you have factored in 4 to 6 month nursery cultivation, so that then you are planting saplings, not very, very new plants. Great. I like learning when I do panels as well, so it's part of my learning. Okay, I am going to say, I hope you have all learned something today. Can I get a wave for anyone who has learned something they didn't know before? Anything? Did you learn something? No? No, you knew it all already. Yeah, sure.
Actually, yeah, luckily our Egyptian mangrove project is the first mangrove project developing supported by KOEM and Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries for Article 6 purpose. So I hope this project is one of the best example for the next a lot of projects. So that's our target, and so we move slowly sometimes, but still I believe we are moving forward. So that's what I hope to mention. Thank you.
I think that's great. And I would just offer any last comments from the Ministry or from KOEM?
Yeah, thank you for coming all this audience. And I hope I can help Ministry of Ocean and Fishery and also private sector. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the a wonderful discussion, moderator. Thank you, and thank you our audience. Thank you.
Okay, great. If you wouldn't mind putting your hands together for our great panel today, and we'll finish it there. Thank you.
Best moderator I have ever. Best moderator.
Oh, thank you. I like to make it a bit more fun. But I do have to say there was definitely the only women-only. So I reckon that was
Thank you very much. Today's event was a great opportunity to share the progress of cooperative approach mechanism under Article 6 in the marine sector and to discuss future direction for cooperation. This concludes all of today's session. Thank you all for staying with us and for your kind attention and support. Thank you.